Welcome back to Careless Whispod, the podcast where we see your every move. Yes, it's Careless Whispod, brought to you by... who am I on this podcast?
You're just Jeremy on this.
And I just Jeremy on this one?
Yeah, I'm just Gary.
And you're just Gary?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool.
A couple of dudes
just
hanging out.
Talking about pop music. What are we talking about this week, Gary?
Well, episode number 2. Let's talk about episode number 2. Episode number 1 is out.
It's
now.
topped the charts.
Like, people are fanatical about
They're
it.
foaming at the mouth.
I mean, I assume we haven't released it at time of recording. But I just know that people are all about episode 1. So, we got that sophomore episode. The tricky sophomore
the difficult second podcast. What are we talking about today? Let's get into it.
We're talking about Private Eyes. They Are Watching You by Hall Oates.
The magicians, Hall Oates. The magic men.
The weavers of magic.
The weavers of magic. Now, do you have some notes?
I do have a note or two.
Did they take you long to write?
I did it in a minute.
Pause. There it is.
Only the hardcore Hall Oates fans are going to get that one, I think.
Hall Oates. Talk to us about Hall Oates, Gary.
Well, Hall Oates, they started...
I mean, not that there's... Everyone will know, but let's give you a little bit of background.
So they started in the late 70s, when, soul and Motown, kind of R&B, that kind of stuff was quite popular. So that was the style of music they started with. And they released about 3 albums to very little success.
Fanfare, right?
Yeah.
This was the one, right? So the song Private Eyes off the album Private Eyes?
No, they had a few hits before that. Their first number 1 hit, or their first charting hit was Sarah Smile.
Yeah, Sarah Smile.
Which was off a different album that I should have in my notes, but I don't. But, that song got played on the radio and things started to roll for them. Then they released Rich Girl. That got to number 1.
Yeah.
That actually, Sarah Smile didn't get to number 1, but Rich Girl was their first number 1 single.
So the song we're talking about, Private Eyes, this is off the album Private Eyes, right?
That's right.
1981.
1981. So when they hit the 80s, they kind of changed their style up a bit. Obviously, with Rich Girl and stuff, they were already kind of progressing into the poppier side of things.
So more of a pop realm.
Yeah.
But they're still sort of keeping that sort of soul-y, blue-eyed soul-y vibe.
They had that kind of pop and soul kind of crossover happening. They're like the DRI of 80s pop.
It's a very specific reference that fans of our other podcast might get.
Look them up. Have a
so
listen.
this I think was the 3rd single off that record. Am I right? Because Rich Girl and Kiss on My List were on this record.
No, that was the album beforehand.
Oh, right, okay.
They had a really big success with Kiss on My List. And they wanted to follow they were hot on the heels of
yeah.
So they came out with Private Eyes. I Can't Go For That, and I think Did It In A Minute was also a single off that album.
Yes, it was.
Unless I'm mistaken. But so Private Eyes came out. And it charted.
Yeah.
So some chart.
Yeah, I got some chart info right here. Song was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts for 2 weeks, from November 7 through November 20. Now, this is interesting. It was their 3rd of 6 number 1 hits. The first 2, as you said, being Rich Girl and Kiss on My List.
Yep.
Their second number 1 hit for the 80s. This is interesting. You'll like this. It was succeeded in the number 1 position by Olivia Newton-John's Physical.
My favorite.
Which, but then, as we go through this podcast, dear listeners, you will realise how much of an ONJ fan we have in Mr. Gary Grimm. But it was ironically succeeded.
Yeah, so Physical got knocked off by...
I Can't Go For That. No Can Do.
I think
so. She wanted to get physical, and Hall & Oates couldn't go for that.
They couldn't go for that.
In Australia, it charted at number 17, incidentally, in Australia, so not as good here.
It was number 1 in the US, as was I Can't Go For That. They both reached number 1, but in the UK, I Can't Go For That was the more...
Popular song.
I think it was 32 on the UK charts. for Private Eyes, and then I Can't Go For That was number 8.
Really? The UK,
Yes.
not loving the perhaps saccharine, soulful American sounds as much as their American counterparts.
So it would seem. Anyway, that's my little nugget
little nugget of truth.
of chart information. So the songwriters.
Songwriters. Okay, so this is it's interesting. This was actually written by 4 people, which I found really interesting. Jana Allen and Sarah Allen.
Yes.
Daryl Hall and Warren Pash. What a name. Warren Pash.
The old Passiona.
The old Pashy, the Pash man himself. Now, Sarah Allen had...
Pash is on my list.
That's... Yeah. Oh, dear. Sarah Allen dated Daryl Hall for a long time.
For a long time, until 2001, I believe.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
There you go. Then she said, I can't go for that. No can do.
No can do.
The Kiss had been struck from the list.
Struck from the list.
The Pash...
Omitted.
Now, actually, this
she's a man-eater, apparently, so...
She was...
She was no longer smiling.
Yeah. Yeah, we get it. Yeah. Quick episodes, Gary.
That's the Sarah that Sarah Smile was written
named
about.
after.
Yeah.
Warren Pash, sort of who started the song, was driving down... The Pash man was driving down Ventura Boulevard in LA when he spotted a billboard for a new movie called The Private Eyes. Starring Tim Conway and Don Knotts.
It's got a pretty cool movie poster as well. I might make that the picture for the episode when I put this on.
That's a good idea. Maybe we should watch it and do a review of the movie.
Sure.
Bit of bonus content.
Bonus content.
But unfortunately, the writing of this song was tinged with tragedy, Gary. Tragedy. When things go wrong... And you can't go on, it's a tragedy. Different episode.
That's our Bee Gees episode.
So Warren Pash, who was quite a well-known songwriter, very unfortunately, before the release of the song, his father passed away.
It was like a week or 2 weeks.
It was a week or so before.
Yeah.
I actually got a quote. He said, and for years afterwards, he sort of didn't write pop music anymore.
Yeah.
He sort of said, I think it was a reaction to the enormity of the pain that came with that time, the personal family stuff. If it was like, if this is what success is, I don't want anything to do with it. I can't go for that. Yeah. No can do. I added that. That's not his quote. I added that. My brother died 3 years and a day before my father. My father dropped dead of a heart attack in a mental hospital where my mother was a patient. He died in front of her. It couldn't have gotten more difficult. And then apparently he went on to do... probably not surprisingly, some more like gothy influence sort of stuff. And bloody hell, after something like that, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, right.
Now, Jana Allen, Jana or Yana, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly.
I think it was Jana.
Jana, she was another sort of staple of the Hall Oates writing stable, and she co-wrote Did It In a Minute.
Yeah, she was Sarah's sister. She did a lot of writing with the Hall Oates there.
Over the years. She very sadly died of leukemia in 93 at the tender age of 36.
Yeah.
Which is sort of very sad. Sarah Allen, as we said, she was also the co-writer of many hits, including You Make My Dreams Come True, Man-Eater,
Kiss on My List,
and Possession Obsession.
Yeah, right.
Which is kind of... What do you think about that?
Private Eyes.
Dig a little bit deeper.
Obsession.
Speaks volumes, perhaps, of what their relationship might have been. That's all I had on songwriting. Do you have anything else on songwriting, Gary?
All I had was the old Passiona. And,
the Pash Man. The Pash Man cometh.
Pashton Kutcher. Warren Pash and Jana Allen wrote the music. Well, Pash had the music down.
The Pash Man. The Pash mode. Oh dear. We're having a good time.
We love you, Warren. All right. So Pash had the structure of the song down. He had the music. Jana was in New York looking for inspiration, looking for some music. They kind of met, got together. She heard the song. She added her touches to the music, made it a little poppier and a bit more, added a few little trills here and there. They kind of just did a really loose recording on a tape. Mm-hmm. And she sent it off to Jana. Jana sent it off to Hall & Oates.
Yep.
And Patch was kind of a bit
Why'd you
worried.
do that? Yeah.
Worried about the quality of the tape, and she was like, "They'll know what to do with it." So Daryl Hall and Sarah wrote the lyrics together.
Yeah, right, okay. I think this sort of speaks volumes, and perhaps it's something we can explore more as the podcast goes on, but just the nature of sort of songwriting in the pop world, I think it's sort of a really interesting insight into that. None of these songs really happen in a vacuum, you know what I mean? There's multiple people working on it, and it gets passed back and forth, and I think that's something we can look at further.
Totally.
I mean, we all know about sort of going back to sort of Tin Pan Alley and the sort of, I mean, famously Neil Diamond was a songwriter. So they had sort of stables of songwriters at these publishing companies. So to be a songwriter was sort of, and it still is to this day, but I think it was perhaps a little bit more prolific then. Being a songwriter and an artist performer was sort of two different things.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there was sort of two different bits of artistry there. So,
well, it's funny you bring up this point, because that leads me to a point that I was thinking about, and it leads us to our next little segment of the episode, which is not only were the songwriters very prolific and kind of all over the place, writing hits and kind of being involved in a lot of other people's music, but the people playing on these songs were often involved in a lot of really cool projects.
Different projects. Wow, that leads well into our next point. So the people that were sort of playing on this, I just had a couple of quick notes. Synths was Lawrence Roger Larry Fast. But like with a name like Larry Fast, like you're born to be a synthesizer player in the 70s and 80s, aren't you? But he worked with Peter Gabriel, most notably. He actually, I'm pretty sure, wrote synth parts for the album So, which is my favourite Peter Gabriel album, which is the album with Sledgehammer
on it. And that duet he did with Kate Bush.
Yes. Don't Give Up.
Don't Give Up, that's it. That's
so he played synths on that album. Those parts weren't used on that record. Did a bit of work with Foreigner as well. The drummer, Michael Curry, played with, everyone. Cher, Tina Turner, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, Elvis Costello, Tom Waits, Survivor, and The Cult as well. So, and the guitar player, George Edward Smith, he was sort of their long sort of serving guitar player, but went on to be the band leader for the Saturday Night Live band for many years, and then also played guitar in Roger Waters' The Wall tour, which I found really interesting.
That's
also played with Dylan, Dylan's touring band during 1988 to 1990.
Man, these musos, what a life they must have, like being part of all these.
I reckon they'd have some stories, you know. I reckon
if they can remember them, then they definitely have some stories.
Now, look, we haven't got that much more to go through. We like to keep things snappy. But I wanted to bring up you want to talk about the video clip now?
Well, just a couple of last things about this track before we get into the video.
Okay, yeah.
This kind of goes back to the songwriting section of the song, but Daryl Hall was very much an extrovert. And John Oates was a little introvert.
Yeah.
And Daryl Hall got a lot of the acclaim for the songwriting. Yeah. And John Oates was a little bit in the background. Anyway, Saturday Night Live
did a skit, right? Yeah.
They did a behind the music of Hall and Oates. And they had John Oates there saying, "Man, I contributed to these songs." You know, the hand claps in Private Eyes, that was me. Well, I didn't actually physically do the claps. Someone else did that, but it was my idea to have the claps in there.
Did you ever see, there was a British sketch comedy show called Big Train.
Yes.
With Mark Heap was in it and, help me out,
Simon Pegg.
Yep. It was a lot of those sort of who obviously went on to do good stuff. They sort of started in Big Train, but they did sort of a similar sort of thing.
I saw this.
Where Hall and Oates go and volunteer their time in like a poor estate in the middle of London. But the best thing about it is Oates is someone on their knees with shoes on their knees because he's so much shorter. Do you know, on that, I actually read an interview. It's funny you bring that up. I read an interview with Oates, and it's a huge interview on his songwriting, and he sort of brings it up. He talks about that he had no problem sort of Daryl Hall taking the lead, you know what I mean? He was just a naturally quieter guy.
Yeah, I bet his wallet wasn't complaining.
Yeah, exactly right. But the final question was hilarious. The interviewer asks, I've been following Hall Oates all these years, and this is the most I've ever heard you talk. And he replies, well, you should have called me sooner. I just like the fact that, like, after all these years, it took people to realise that he's actually quite a talkative guy. Just no one bothered to ask. But with that,
let's talk about the music video.
Let's talk about. Hang on, if you haven't had a chance, go. Now's your chance to go away. Go to your YouTubes.
We'll wait,
and while you watch a video, okay? Sure. All right, go and watch a video.
So how you been?
I think it's going well so far. Yeah. I'm going okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Should we call this
anyone listening
episode? We did it in 36 minutes or something like that. Oh, you're back. Sorry, you're back. Okay, cool. How'd you find that?
Yeah, good.
Good. Huh?
We can't hear you. Stop screaming at your phone or computer.
Yeah. Thoughts and feelings. I mean, you did a little bit more research on this, Gary. So give it to us.
So
somewhat of a basic clip, isn't it?
Very basic.
Somewhat of a basic clip.
I mean, the whole.
Which is going to make it somewhat of a basic analysis of that clip.
Definitely. Jay Dublin was the director. He did a shitload of music videos. He wasn't a big fan of music videos, but he could do things on a budget, basically.
Yeah, right, I see.
And these guys had a pretty limited budget for the video. They just wanted to knock something out nice and quick, and so they gave him a call. The same day that they called the director, he came down. They filmed the video in 2 hours, and the director was like, all right, I'll have that edited tomorrow for you guys. So basically it's not even 2 days if you added up the hours spent making that video.
It's before digital too.
Yes.
So that's pretty crazy. And I mean, look, what is there to really talk about? I mean, you guys watched it.
The outfits.
They've broken into the set of Inspector Gadget and taken all his jackets.
I didn't do a heap of research about this certain aspect of the band, but I'm just assuming it was the 80s, so there must have been some drugs happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's just really happy.
Really?
I think he's really happy.
We were watching the video before we started recording. I was commenting on Daryl Hall's eyes, and he just looks a little bit kind of wired, and he just seems a bit frantic in the video.
I think it's the bass player you got to worry about. He looks like he may have had a coronary and died during the making of the video.
He looks very lost.
Yeah.
He looks. Have you seen the video for "Hello Goodbye" by the Beatles?
No, I've not.
George Harrison was off his face in that video, and it reminds me a lot of the bass player in the Private Eyes video.
There you go. Well, did you have any more to talk about the video?
Not really. I think there should be an epilepsy warning before those hand claps.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of hand claps, I mean,
I think that leads us into our favorite part
of the song. It's like, how can you not like...
We need a name for this segment, by the way. We need a name for this segment where we talk about our favorite part of the song.
Write in and tell us what you think we should call it.
We won't get it for a while.
Money shots?
Let's call it money
shots. All right. Welcome.
Money shots for nothing, tricks for free.
Yeah. Money shots.
Yes.
The money shot for me is the hand clap.
The hand claps are a definite standout. I love the intro as well.
It is.
It's just that count in and then the fucking that big guitar sound.
I think it's what I love about Hall & Oates in general is just that ultra melodicism. Just ultra catchy. You know what I mean? In all facets of the song, be it, you know, the lyrics or just the hooks, like that guitar hook at the start.
So good.
You know, like just all of it is just so hooky and it just rams into your ear. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mucking about. There's nothing there that doesn't need to be. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, there's no fluff.
It's all killer, no filler.
It's all killer, no filler. Yeah.
But you mentioned the lyrics, and I think we should talk about those lyrics just for a second.
Yeah, they're a little bit sinister, aren't they?
I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it comes across as some kind of stalker fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, famously, Philip K. Dick heard that song, and he thought it was too paranoid.
Oh, wow. Literary references. This is amazing.
That literally didn't happen. So.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
But it is just... I was reading the lyrics.
Why don't we go and Google the lyrics. Go and Google it. We'll wait.
Man, I've had this itch.
Really?
Right.
Did you get that cream? Did you get the cream I told you about?
What was it called again?
Crab Go?
I did.
Crab Goo.
They didn't have that, but they did have Crabs Are Poppin'.
Oh, hey, they're back. So you had to read the lyrics? You see where we're coming from there?
Yeah.
A little bit creepy.
It reads like a manifesto more than a fucking pop song in the 80s.
Man, the 80s was a strange time, especially in LA. Look, fantastic song. The video clip, look, I think across all the video clips we're going to look at in this series,
sure.
You know what, the video clips, I think it's going to be
pretty
further down the list.
It's pretty low key.
It's going to be further down the list.
Even if you
below like the kiss is on the list.
Sure.
The video clips below the kiss.
Even on the list of Hall Oates videos, it's kind of pretty low. I love the outfits and I love the hand claps and the lightning effect. But have you seen which song is it? It's the video for Out of Touch.
You're out of touch. Is that on our list too?
I think, yeah. It's
so Kiss is on the list.
The Kiss is on the list.
The video clip is on the list.
Yeah, I think it was hard for me to kind of...
say I'm sorry.
He's full of them today.
Oh, man.
It was hard for me to pick a Hall & Oates song to put on the list because we didn't want to double.
Because we had Kiss on.
We had Kiss on the list. We had the band Kiss
as well.
You were saying Private Eyes is
Private Eyes is just my go-to for these guys.
Is there any kind of specific memory or just any kind of connection that you can think of with that song, or it's just the one that stands out?
Do you know what? I think for me, all this stuff has it. This song just has that drive. Boom, that's, as you said, it's just straight into it, and it just grooves all the way through.
Sure.
Whereas all of this stuff has that.
It's a very similar tempo and beat to Kiss on my list as well.
It is. And then I was just thinking it's very... You Make My Dreams Come True is also very driving.
Fuck, I love that song.
Yeah. So, no, I remember seeing... I think what I love about Hall & Oates is I love that kind of blue-eyed soul aspect to their music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I love that sort of... It's poppy, but he's a great vocalist. They're great songwriters. Speaking of... This might be a nice little one to sort of wrap up on.
Sure.
Daryl Hall was never at a loss for words when describing his success with Hall & Oates. I think we're the 80s Beatles. I think there's definitely something to be said for that.
I think so. They were one of the most successful pop acts or pop duos in the 80s. Because a lot of bands just kind of came and went really quickly, and they stuck around for the at least the first half of the 80s. They were...
Geez, you'd love to have a look at their royalty checks, wouldn't you? I'd love to see what the numbers are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on our obsession. Now is the time in the show where we choose the next song.
Oh, fantastic. Yes.
So we've got a little bit of a playlist. What we do each episode is I hit shuffle on the playlist, and whatever song comes up is the one that we go with.
I still think we say that we're going to spin a wheel and then you get...
Actually, it's funny you say that because I wanted to change it up this time around, and we've actually got a dartboard over there.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty big because there's a lot of songs on our list.
The Kiss on the list.
There's Kiss.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's big. All right.
Yeah.
all right.
I just realized though I can't play darts, so we may as well just do the playlist shuffle.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right, so let's do that. Here we go.
Higher Love?
Higher Love by Steve Winwood?
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful. Okay.
Is that what it is?
That is.
You beauty. We were both pretty quick on the uptake on that one.
Yeah, it was pretty close. So that's the song that will be
okay.
playing on
All
the
right.
next
Oh
episode.
man, I'm so excited. Just like the first episode.
What a callback.
All right, we'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks. Bye.